Swiss bank secrecy has been under growing scrutiny by the U.S., Germany, and France. Last week, Germany said that stolen Swiss bank account data can legally be used to crack down on tax crimes. With rising pressure from Western governments and tax evasion cases on the rise, what's the future of Swiss banking secrecy? Joining us now is Rubinstein. He's a partner of Rubinstein & Rubinstein, where his practice focuses on international asset protection and litigation. Asher, thanks for coming in to talk to us about this.
Sure.
So, I mean, can people hide money in Switzerland anymore, or is it just becoming impossible?
Well, the real question is, who are these people going to be hiding the money from? If they're looking to hide money from the IRS or Revenue Canada or any other governmental tax authority, then the answer is a clear and definitive no. You can no longer hide money from your tax authority. There are still reasons to be offshore. There are still legal ways to be offshore. You can be offshore to protect your assets from private civil creditors, but if you're looking to avoid your tax obligation, then no, Swiss banking secrecy won't allow that any longer.
And by private creditors, you mean? Give us some examples.
Doctors looking to protect their assets from medical malpractice, estate planning or asset protection planning vis-a-vis future civil creditors. If a marriage is going down the tubes or a business partnership is going down the tubes and you're anticipating litigation, there are ways to protect your assets from a civil creditor, but you have to make sure that you do it in a tax-compliant manner.
Well, as we know, the U.S. has succeeded in cooperating with Switzerland to get a lot of names of folks who were trying to hide accounts. But Switzerland, there's been some pushback. Is there any chance that there's going to be a change to this, that these names are not going to be revealed, or that more names are not going to be revealed?
Right now, everything is in a tremendous state of flux. We thought we had UBS settle criminal charges last January. The next day after that settlement, the U.S. imposed civil charges against UBS, and we thought that there was a settlement there last August when UBS agreed to release names. That scared a lot of people, and it made about 15,000 Americans come in and make their foreign accounts tax compliant. But just last month, in the last couple of weeks, a Swiss court has essentially put that settlement agreement on hold. We don't know what's going to happen. That Swiss decision, of course, will be appealed. Ultimately, irrespective of what happens within the Swiss judicial context, Swiss banking secrecy vis-a-vis the IRS is a thing of the past.
Is there anywhere, if it's not Switzerland, is there anywhere else that people can now hide accounts, or is it pretty much internationally become impossible?
It's become impossible internationally to hide assets from the IRS. People thought that you can go to Singapore, Panama, et cetera, but the problem is, for those people, is that all of the former tax havens have essentially made themselves compliant during 2009. Even Monaco, which arguably had the most secretive banking laws, even Monaco has become transparent. All of these countries have been made to agree to OECD standards, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Most of the tax havens either have or will soon sign TIEs, tax information exchange agreements with the IRS. There could be perhaps a renegade country somewhere where somebody can put their assets there and hope to make those assets secret, but you really have to look towards the stability of that jurisdiction economically, politically, socially, whether there are brick and mortar banking institutions, whether the service providers there are credible, and whether there is a real risk to having your assets in a jurisdiction like that. Most first world, premier, technologically advanced, democratic countries have made themselves compliant vis-a-vis the IRS, and there really is nowhere left to hide if you're looking to hide from the IRS.
So for your clients, are there any benefits at this point to keeping their money in Swiss accounts, or are you seeing a lot of them just move their money to the U.S.?
There are a lot of benefits to having money offshore in Switzerland and other jurisdictions. You might have a business offshore and you need to collect income into a foreign bank account. You may own land or real estate offshore. There are lots of reasons to be there, in addition to the fact that you can avail yourself of investments on the global level that aren't available to Americans here. The problem is that although these opportunities are there and you can open a foreign account, you have to, A, disclose that account to the government, and B, you have to pay taxes on any gains in that account. So the short answer is, yeah, there are plenty of good reasons to be offshore. It's still legal to be offshore, but you have to do it in a compliant manner.
So it doesn't sound like then that this is going to be detrimental for Swiss banking. A lot of people are still keeping the money there for other reasons.
Yeah, a lot of people are. UBS, for example, they lost a lot of clients in the last year as a result of the scare from the IRS litigation. I've read a report that said that most of the clients who left UBS have kept their money in Switzerland at other banks. I've read a report that about 5% of the foreign funds that are in Switzerland are funds from U.S. taxpayers. The challenge now from Germany, I think, is gotten the Swiss even more nervous because something like 10% of the amounts on deposit in Switzerland are from Germany. So it's really double the problem for the Swiss.
So the lawsuit that you mentioned where the Swiss court is trying to block this UBS case, if the outcome if they succeed with that roadblock, then what would be the next step or the outcome of that?
Well, then I think what's going to happen in that case is that the focus is going to shift to the federal litigation against UBS in federal court in Miami. There were two, as I said earlier. There's a civil one and a parallel criminal one. We thought that the settlement agreement put an end to at least the civil case. What's going to happen now, if UBS doesn't disclose the names, we can expect the IRS or the Justice Department, who prosecutes on behalf of the IRS, to allege, number one, that UBS did not meet its agreements its obligations under the settlement agreement, and number two, they may even allege that UBS is in contempt of court. If that happens, it would be detrimental not just to UBS, but indeed to the entire international banking system. UBS has too large a presence in the U.S. It's got billions of dollars, if not more. It's got employees within the 50 states. It's got enough of a tangible presence here that a U.S. court can exercise jurisdiction over that presence, confiscate UBS assets if it gets that far, and indeed, on the federal level, it's possible that UBS would lose its banking license, which would have dire consequences.
So you don't think that all of that is likely?
Well, let's hope not, because it would be a real mess for everybody involved. What I see happening is just like we had last-minute discussions on how to reach a settlement agreement last August. I think similarly now, and in the weeks to come, you're going to have a parallel track. You're going to have a judicial settlement agreement, and you're going to have a diplomatic settlement agreement. I think both channels are going to be in operation side by side, hoping to diffuse it.
Okay, Asher Rubinstein, thanks for coming in to talk to us about this complex issue. Appreciate it.